Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs by Civic Center IAS, where we try to discuss the top 10 important topics for UPSC CSE Prelims for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express, and displayed are the list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article of the day says that India has achieved a remarkable milestone in its economic journey, with the gross foreign direct investment inflows reaching an impressive $1 trillion since April 2000. Furthermore, this landmark achievement was bolstered by a nearly 26% rise in FDI to 42.1 billion during the first half of the current fiscal year. Furthermore, such growth reflects India's growing appeal as a global investment destination, driven by a proactive policy framework and a dynamic business environment and increasing international competitiveness. In this context, we'll talk about the foreign direct investment. See, what is FDI or the foreign direct investment? It is an investment made by a firm or individual in one country into business interest located in another country. Know that FDI lets an investor purchase a direct business interest in a foreign country. Some of the common ones include establishing a subsidiary in another country, acquiring or merging with an existing foreign company, or starting a joint venture partnership with a foreign company. Now, if you have to talk about FDI's role in India's development, see, FDI provides non-debt financial resources, facilitates technology transfer, and generates employment opportunities. Some of the initiatives with respect to this are Make in India, regularized sectoral policies, and goods and services tax. Now, if you have to look at the FDI inflows with respect to April 2014 to September 2024, an investment of $709.84 billion, which is a 68.69% of total FDI inflows in the last 24 years. Furthermore, FDI contributes to India's increasing integration into the global economy. Now, what are the key factors driving the FDI growth in the country? First, the key factor is the competitiveness and innovation. See, India's rank improved from 43rd in 2021 to 40th in the World Competitiveness Index of 2024. Furthermore, with respect to the Global Innovation Index of 2023, India ranked 40th, up from 81st in 2015. Then, India is the third largest recipient of greenfield projects globally, which is 1008 projects in 2023. And lastly, India witnessed a 64% increase in international project finance deals, ranking second globally. Now, what are the different improvements in the business environment? See, India's position in the World Bank's Doing Business report improved significantly from 142nd in 2014 to 63rd in 2019. Furthermore, the government initiatives have streamlined the regulations and reduced the bureaucratic barriers, making India more attractive for foreign investments. Now, if you have to look at the policy reforms to attract FDI, see, the majority of the sectors are open to 100% FDI under the automatic route, except from strategic sectors. Then we have the income tax reforms, like the abolition of the angel tax and reduction in the income tax rates for foreign companies. The second article of the day says that the augmentation of the World Heritage List is a continuous process. So, India has as of now 43 properties on the Heritage List. According to the UNESCO's Operational Guidelines 2023, only one property, either cultural, natural, or mixed, can be proposed for inclusion in the World Heritage List each year. In this context, we'll talk about the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So, first of all, what is this World Heritage? See, World Heritage refers to the cultural and natural heritage sites that are considered of outstanding value to humanity. Furthermore, these sites are protected and preserved for future generations. Note that it includes both the cultural heritage, which includes the monuments, cities, and the traditions, and then natural heritage like the landscapes, ecosystems, and biodiversity. Significantly, World Heritage Sites belong to all of the humanity, irrespective of the country or the territory in which they are located. Now, what is the role and mission of this UNESCO? See, firstly, to encourage the protection by you can say UNESCO promotes the protection and preservation of the cultural and natural heritage globally. And then the convention concerning the protection of the world cultural and natural heritage, which was adopted in the year 1972, is the international treaty that governs the protection of the World Heritage Sites. Now, if we have to look at the core mission objectives, firstly, to encourage countries to sign the convention and protect heritage sites. Secondly, to encourage states to nominate the sites within the territory for World Heritage list. Thirdly, states are encouraged to develop management plans and monitor conservation status. Then fourthly, to provide professional training and technical support for site management. Then to provide immediate support for heritage sites in danger. Then support public awareness programs related to heritage conservation, and also to encourage local communities to be actively involved in heritage conservation. Lastly, to promote global collaboration in the conservation of heritage. Now, if we have to talk about the World Heritage Convention of 1972, see, the purpose of it is to define natural and cultural sites eligible for inclusion in the World Heritage list. Secondly, if you have to look at the criteria for the inclusion, the convention outlines the criteria for selecting sites that are of exceptional cultural or national importance to humanity. Thirdly, it provides a global framework for the international cooperation to conserve heritage. Now, if we have to talk about the UNESCO World Heritage Sites in India, see, the UNESCO World Heritage Sites are recognized for their cultural, natural, or mixed importance, representing India's rich contributions to human civilization. So, these sites promote tourism, education, and local economies, preserving India's heritage and identity on the global stage. Know that India ranks 6th globally in terms of the number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Now, if you have to look at the types of these sites, firstly, cultural sites, which are 35. Then we have natural sites, which are 7 in India. And lastly, we have one mixed heritage site. Now, the total number of sites in India are 43 as of September 2024. And talking about the latest developments, new nominations for the inclusion in the UNESCO World Heritage List are underway. The third article of the day says that as of 15th November of 2024, under the Smart Cities Mission, work orders have been issued in 8,066 projects amounting to 1,64,69 crore, of which 7,352 projects amounting to 1,47,366 crore have been completed as per the data provided by the 100 smart cities. In this context, we'll talk about the Smart Cities Mission. See, it is a pan-city initiative in which at least one smart solution is applied city-wide. Know that it is to develop areas step by step, where 3 models of area-based developments are retrofitting, redevelopment, and greenfield. Furthermore, implementing the smart city mission is carried out primarily through 2 approaches. First, under the Smart Cities Mission, cities are being developed using an area-based development approach, where each of the 100 cities has selected a defined area for targeted interventions. So these ABD areas chosen through citizen participation are being developed as replicable models for other parts of the city. Secondly, every city has included pan-city projects, which are technology-driven solutions. So other key dimensions of the mission include creating a special purpose vehicle structure for the program implementation, promoting multiple sources of funding for the projects, fostering competitive federalism, and lastly, engaging the citizens. Now, if you have to look at the government policy and urban planning, see, the urban development follows constitutional provisions with urban local bodies or the urban development authorities responsible for town planning. Furthermore, the government supports states' efforts with interventions and advisories. Lastly, high urbanization is viewed as an opportunity for accelerated economic development. Moving on to talk about the monitoring and the review mechanism. See, high-powered steering committees chaired by the chief secretaries are there, and at the national level, we have Apex Committee headed by the Secretary of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. And lastly, regular interactions through video conferences, field visits, and workshops are also done. Talking about the replicable models and the best practices, see, the Smart Cities Mission has created replicable models in 100 smart cities that can serve as lighthouses for other cities. And furthermore, area-based development and pan-city solutions are prominent features of the smart city projects. The next article talks about the PRASHAD scheme and the Swadesh Darshan scheme. In this context, we'll talk about them. Firstly, talking about the PRASHAD scheme, which stands for Pilgrimage Regeneration and Spiritual Augmentation Drive. See, the objective of this scheme is to regenerate pilgrimage and spiritual tourism by improving infrastructure at spiritual sites, enhancing accessibility, safety, cleanliness, and preserving the essence of the pilgrimage cities. Furthermore, the financial assistance is provided to state governments and union territories for infrastructure development at spiritual sites. Now, if you have to look at the achievements under this project, firstly, a total of 48 projects across India with a total cost of 1,646.99 crore, including 2 projects in Tamil Nadu have been completed. And furthermore, these are the projects under the Tamil Nadu. Now, moving on to talk about the Swadesh Darshan scheme. See, the objective of the scheme is to promote cultural and heritage tourism by augmenting tourism facilities, enhancing tourism attractiveness, and creating awareness among the local communities about tourism's importance. Furthermore, the financial assistance is provided to state or UT administration or the central agencies. Now, if you have to look at the achievements with respect to this scheme, see, firstly, development of Chennai, Mamalappuram, Rameswaram, Manpadu and Kanyakumari with 73.13 crore sanctioned and 71.03 crore released. Furthermore, a revamped version focusing on sustainable and responsible destination development. Now, if you have to talk about the challenge-based destination development under Swadesh Darshan 2.0, see, the objective of it is to enhance tourist experiences through holistic destination development. Some of the key destinations identified are 42 destinations under the CBDD, including Tanjavur and Rameshwara Island in Tamil Nadu. If you have to look at the recent developments under Swadesh Darshan 2.0, these are them. The next article says that, highlighting the detrimental effect of rising inflation on new house constructions, a parliamentary panel has recommended that the government revise per unit assistance to PMAY Gramin beneficiaries. Also, the report said that there is an urgent need to increase monthly pension under the National Social Assistance Program. In this context, we'll talk about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, in short called the PMAY-G. See, the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is a flagship housing credit-linked subsidy scheme launched by the Government of India in 2015 to provide affordable housing to the economically weaker sections and lower income groups of the country. Furthermore, the scheme has two components, which is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban for the urban poor and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Rural for the rural poor. So, if you have to talk about the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, see, to address the gaps in the rural housing program and in the view of government's commitment to provide housing for all by the scheme 2024, Indira Awas Yojana has been restructured into the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin with effect from 1st April of 2016. If you have to look at the objective, see, it aims at providing a Pakka house with basic amenities to all houseless householders and those households living in Kacha and dilapidated house by 2024. Know that the beneficiaries are identified using the socio-economic and caste census of 2011, and significantly, the nodal ministry for this scheme is the Ministry of Rural Development. If you have to look at the key features under the scheme, firstly, 1.2 lakh in financial assistance of 1.2 lakh in plain areas and 1.3 lakh rupees in hilly, difficult and integrated action plan areas. Secondly, it has convergence with other schemes, like it encourages convergence with other schemes like Swachh Bharat Mission for toilet construction and MGNREGA for wage employment. Then, in the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, program implementation and monitoring are to be carried out through an end-to-end e-governance model using Awas Soft and Awas app. If we have to talk about the National Social Assistance Program, see, it was launched in 1995 as a centrally sponsored scheme of the Ministry of Rural Development under the Government of India. Significantly, it provides financial assistance to below poverty line individuals, to the elderly, widows and persons with disabilities and bereaved families on the death of primary breadwinner in the form of social pensions. And it represents a significant step towards fulfillment of directive principles in the Article 41 of the Indian Constitution. Know that Article 41 directs the state to provide financial assistance to its citizens in case of unemployment, old age, sickness, disablement, etc. within the limit of its economical capacity and development. Now, if you have to look at the components of this NSAP, it comprises of 5 schemes, which are these. Next article says that nearly half of all the affordable housing constructed so far under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban remains unoccupied, according to the Union Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs submission to the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Housing and Urban Affairs. In this context, we will talk about the scheme. See, in pursuance of the government's vision of facilitating housing for all, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs of the Government of India is implementing the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, which is the Housing for All mission since the 25th June of 2015. Know that the beneficiaries of it are the economically weaker sections, low-income groups, and middle-income groups. Furthermore, there are subsidy schemes under it, which are the Credit Linked Subsidy Scheme, In Situ Slum Redevelopment, Affordable Housing in Partnership, And lastly, beneficiary-led construction. Furthermore, the mission is implemented as a centrally sponsored scheme, except the CLSS vertical of the PMAY-U, which is implemented as a central sector scheme. Note that it is implemented by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The next article of the day says that no one in India lives in areas where the yearly average pollution levels are below the levels recommended by the World Health Organization, with the high levels of PM 2.5 associated with 1.5 million deaths a year, according to a study recently published in the Lancet Planet Health. In this context, we'll talk about the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. See, the mandate provided to the Central Pollution Control Board under the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act empowers it to set standards for the quality of air. Hence, the current National Ambient Air Quality Standards were notified in November 2009 by the Central Pollution Control Board. But prior to this, India had set the air quality standards in 1994 and this was later revised in 1998. Then the 2009 standards further lowered the maximum permissible limits for pollutants and made the standards uniform across the nation. But earlier, less stringent standards were prescribed for the industrial zones as compared to in residential areas. Now, what are the pollutants covered under it? See, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, then we have particulate matter 10, then we have particulate matter 2.5, then we have ozone, carbon monoxide, ammonia, and then lead, benzene, benzoprene, arsenic, and nickel. The next article says that retail inflation eased to a 3-month low of 5.48% in November after surging to a 14-month high of 6.21% in October, as prices of food items including vegetables moderated during the month, according to data released by the National Statistical Office. In this context, we'll talk about retail inflation and the causes for it. See, retail inflation is also known as the Consumer Price Index deflation. Know that it carries the change of retail prices of goods and services which households purchase for their daily consumption. Furthermore, CPI is calculated for a fixed basket of goods and services that may not be altered by the government from time to time. Know that it is released by the National Statistical Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, compiles all India as well as state-wise CPI for the rural, urban and combined sectors. Know that it releases the CPI members every month. Now, what are the causes for the retail inflation? Firstly, the demand pull inflation occurs when the demand for the goods and services outpaces supply. Secondly, cost push inflation. It arises when the cost of production increases, leading businesses to raise prices. Thirdly, to increase in the monetary supply that can cause inflation if exceeds the economic growth, leading to more money chasing the same amount of goods. And lastly, events like natural disasters or geopolitical instability that disrupt the supply chains, pushing prices up. Moving on to the next article, it says that the 3-year-old tigress translocated from the Maharashtra to Odisha's Simlipal Tiger Reserve last month is keeping the forest officials of 3 states on their toes. In this context, we will talk about the Simlipal Tiger Reserve and then the Tadoba-Andhari Tiger Reserve. See, it is located in the Mayurbhanj district in the northeastern part of Odisha, and know that it is surrounded by high plateaus and hills, which is the highest peak being the twin peaks of the Kairiburu and Meghasashni. And know that this tiger reserve also comes under the Mayurbhanj Elephant Reserve that includes the adjacent Hadgar and Kudiha wildlife sanctuaries. Significantly, it was declared a tiger reserve in the year 1956 and included under the National Conservation Program of Project Tiger in the year 1973. Furthermore, it was declared a biosphere reserve by the Government of India in June 1994. Know that it has been part of the UNESCO World Network of Biosphere since 2000. And talking about the terrain, it is mostly undulating and hilly, interspread with open grasslands and wooded areas. Furthermore, it is a mix of different forest types and habitats, with northern tropical moist deciduous dominating some semi-evergreen patches. Furthermore, it is the only landscape in the world that is home to melanistic tigers. Also know that the region around the STR is home to a variety of tribes including Kolha, Santhala, Bhumija, Baturi, Gundas, Khadia, Mangadia and Sahara. Moving on to talk about the Tadoba-Andhari Tiger Reserve. It is located in the Chandrapur district in Maharashtra. Know that the origin of the name Tadoba lies with the name of god Tadoba or Taru, worshipped by the tribes that live in the dense forests of the Tadoba and Andhari regions. Significantly, Andhari refers to the Andhari river that meanders through the forest. So the reserve has corridor linkages with Nagzira, Navgian and Punch tiger reserves within the state. Furthermore, talking about its habitat, see, biogeographically, the reserve falls in the central plateau province of the Deccan Peninsula. Furthermore, the habitat has undulating topography in the north and rich in biodiversity. See, the vegetation is of southern tropical deciduous, and there are 2 lakes and 1 waterway in the reserve, which are the Tadoba Lake, Kolsa Lake, and the Tadoba River. The last article of the day says that on the eve of a special discussion on the Constitution in Parliament, the Union Cabinet on Thursday set in motion the process to implement simultaneous elections by approving 2 bills, which are a constitutional amendment bill to enable joint elections to the Lok Sabha and all state assemblies, and an ordinary bill to align assembly elections in the Union territories of Delhi, Puducherry, and Jammu and Kashmir. In this context, we'll talk about the One Nation, One Election. See, simultaneous elections, which are popularly referred to as One Nation, One Election, means holding the elections to the Lok Sabha and all state legislative assemblies and urban and rural local bodies at the same time. Currently, all these elections are held independently of one another, following timelines dictated by the terms of every individual elected body. So the concept of One Nation, One Election envisions a system in which all state and Lok Sabha elections must be held simultaneously. Furthermore, this will entail restructuring the Indian election cycle so that the elections to the states and the centre coincide. So this would imply that the voters will vote for the members of the Lok Sabha and state assemblies on the same day and at the same time. Now, historically speaking about the simultaneous elections, see, the first general elections of the free India held simultaneously to the Lok Sabha and the legislative assemblies of the states in 1951. Then for the next 3 cycles of the elections also witnessed the concurrent Lok Sabha and legislative assembly elections, barring a few stray cases. Significantly, some of the other countries where simultaneous elections are conducted are Germany, Japan, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Belgium. So in this video, we have discussed 10 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.